Welcome back to the Game to Love podcast, and today we are joined by former top 100 player Henri Laaksonen.
He speaks to us about his amazing career and the fact he got to the second round of 3 Grand Slams in 2019. It's a pleasure to have Henri Laaksonen on the Game to Love podcast. What have you been doing with yourself during this time in quarantine?
Yeah, actually, I have been pretty lucky. I was in Peru playing Davis Cup, and then we flew with my coach to Indian Wells, and then we got the news that everything is cancelled. So I traveled back to Europe and picked up my car and drove to Finland. And actually, it was pretty good decision because they kept here a couple tennis halls and tennis courts open. Okay. So I have been able to practice now almost 3 months, basically every day.
Wow!
So that has been very good for me because I had some problems with my body beginning of the year and end of last year. So I actually really needed the time to practice and really take care of my body. So I have been doing the normal, little longer pre-season just.
That's great. I mean, what was what injury did you have that you were trying to get over? Was there a certain part of your body which was in need of recovery?
Yeah, well, it happened already last year. Like during autumn, I got some trouble with my hips. So I had little difficulties moving on the court, and then the problems came also when I started to serve. So it took really long, like 4 or 5 months before it started to get better. And then during the off season, I tried to go to lighter racket. Then I got the tennis elbow, of course. That's a new problem. So then I was dealing with that one in January and February. So both things are getting better now, and I have been able to practice like 1.5, 2 months now fully without big problems.
No, it's good to hear you're getting better. Outside of tennis, though, have you been up to anything different? Any new hobbies? Because we've had a few different tennis players on, and they've said they've taken up a few new hobbies, trying new things. Have you got anything?
No, not really. I just got like 2-3 weeks ago. It's not a new hobby, but I got new rackets from Head, and I'm still customizing them, and it's good time to do that stuff. It's a bit different, but I like to customize my own rackets, so that takes some time. And rather than that, not really new hobbies.
Okay. Do you always stick with Head, or?
Yeah, well, I played really long when I was junior already. I have been playing with Head Prestige, and then I played 2-3 years with Wilson, and now I'm back with Head since 2-3 years already again. So,
well, it's certainly seemed to be doing the business for you. Last year, I think you've had probably one of your best years on tour with getting to the second round of 3 Grand Slams, which is what an incredible achievement that was. I noticed that there was like at the start of last year in 2019, you played in Challenger in Australia just before the Australian Open. It was in Playford. And you came up against Casper Ruud, and you lost to Casper Ruud in this match. But then your next match, after this match, you see it on the qualifying for the Australian Open, you're playing Casper Ruud again. And then you beat him in this match. How satisfying was this to be able to overturn this loss so quickly?
Well, I think it was funny because we both, me and my coach, we laughed then when we saw the draw in Australia, in Australian Open for the first round, and we saw I play against Casper. So actually, even I lost the week before, I was feeling really well, and we went quite early to Melbourne and we practiced well before the tournament started. So I was feeling really well on court. My body was feeling good, so I was pretty confident actually that I will have a good chance, and yeah, I was able to play a really good tournament there. So yeah, it was funny because we were both laughing when we saw the draw first.
Yeah, he's a brilliant player as well. Brilliant young player. He's in some of the best form of his career. Obviously, he's just starting off. So it was a good win to be able to get that over him, for sure.
It was a great start for the year. In Australia, it gave a lot of confidence. It was the first time I qualified also for the Grand Slam, and to able to win first round. And then I played a really great match against Deminar.
Yeah, and well, amazing match. I mean, that was we've come onto that. Let's break down that match, because I mean, what an incredible match that was. I mean, 5 sets in Australia against the biggest Australian hopeful probably for the tournament, Alex de Minaur, and you go 2 sets down and then you pull it back to 2 sets all. I mean, I was watching some of the highlights earlier and it looked like your forehand was just on fire that day. It was just everything you were hitting, it was just like whizzing past him.
Yeah, it was really great match, and actually before the match I didn't feel so comfortable because I had some back problems, but then longer the match went, I mean, also the problems went away, of course, already when I started to play, and then yeah, I didn't have anything to lose, and I started to feel better and better on court, and yeah, I was just hitting the forehands as much as I could.
Well, you definitely did a really good job, and you just saw it was like a relief for him, I think, to finally get through. In the end, he looked like he was really struggling in that 4th set, and then he just somehow managed to turn it around. But what was it like being up against not only him, but the whole entire country of Australia in that match? It seemed like it was that the stadium was really roaring.
Yeah, I think actually the atmosphere was really great, and what I also think is that especially Australian fans, they are, I mean, of course I played against Australian player, but they are very fair, I think, towards if I played a great point or I did something good on the court, then they were also supporting me. But yeah, I think it was a really fair atmosphere, but of course they wanted that he wins, but I felt really great on court, and because, for example, at some Davis Cups, it's a bit tricky if you play in certain countries. It's not always easy. It's not always fair.
What do you find one of the hardest countries?
Well, I remember last year I won the Challenger in Rome in May, and I think I played 4 Italians in that tournament, yes. And it wasn't easy.
I can imagine. There was some really good players as well that you beat in that tournament. It was like Matteo Viola, Salvatore Caruso, Paolo Lorenzi, and Moroni in the final as well. And all great players.
Yeah, I remember I played against Lorenzi. I won the first set 7-6, and then it was like 5-all, 30-all second set, and then I missed the first serve, so I had a second serve, but then someone from the spectators threw ice cream actually on the back of the court, so I had to wait a little bit, and then I got the second serve, so not the best timing.
Those Italian fans, passionate.
Yeah,
it's all countries are though. For their own hometown players, everyone always gets behind them, and it must be very tricky to sort of play in these sort of environments for sure. But what I wanted to actually ask you was 2019 was obviously a brilliant year for you. 2020 started off, and then we had the coronavirus. Obviously, we don't have much tennis play. But what was your goals and sort of ambitions for this year? Because like me and Ben personally was talking before you came on, and we were thinking that we feel like it would have been a really good year to see you push on. Obviously, you had a brilliant year last year, and I guess this year was just your year to sort of push on from that and see how far you could really go. Maybe break back into the top 100 and sort of go from there.
Yeah, for sure. My goal is to go back to top 100, and then hopefully also higher. But especially the way I finished last year, I had a lot of trouble with my body, and the main goal was to be healthy and to be able to play again on that level. And I wasn't really able to practice end of last year how I wanted. So of course it takes some time to get back to your level where you were. And that was the main goal. But then after that was to go back to top 100 again.
Do you have like a particular Grand Slam you want to go furthest in, or?
Not really. I mean, I'm happy with every Grand Slam if I go far.
Okay. But do you have like a preferred surface where you'd enjoy playing on?
Well, I mean, if we look only the Grand Slams, then I have always felt really comfortable in Australia. I think that's one of the favorite for me. But yeah, generally I like slow surface, either clay or slow hard court.
I mean, yeah, looking through all of your results, you can see that you adapt really well to either surface, really. And yeah, just to touch on like some of I know you mentioned playing against different countries and stuff, but like for Davis Cup and that type of thing. Saw in February, just after you'd had that Australian Open, you actually had two amazing matches against Medvedev and Karen Khachenov, like such close matches. Like I watched those matches, and that match against Karen Khachenov, I don't think I've seen a ball being hit so hard in a match. It was crazy. Like
there was certain moments, was watching the points, and it's like, how did he even get that one back? It looked like he was a winner, and you just appeared from the screen and just got it back.
Yeah, I think I was playing really well that time, and of course we played in Biel, where I have practiced. It's a federation, Swiss federation, so I practiced there 4 or 5 years. So I'm also used to the conditions, and I was playing well that time, and conditions are fast, so it helps a lot. It's indoor if your service is working, and then but I think it comes a lot with the confidence, and many things help, of course.
Yeah, which would you say was tougher for you to adjust to? Medvedev, was he a bit tougher to play than Karen Khachenov?
Yeah, I think the way Medvedev plays is very tricky because he serves well, and then you don't get one easy point from him, and especially he was able to keep the rallies on our backhands. And it was not easy to get away from it, and he's also able to keep the ball really low, so it's not easy to attack.
Yeah, and then when he's at the net as well, his just arms are everywhere. He just can't even seem to pass him. He's like an octopus, isn't he, with his arms?
Yeah, no, it's really tricky to hit winners against him, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, moving on from like that, Davis, I know that was in February. After that, you sort of went on a great run of form. You won on hard and in Bangkok, where you won a hard court challenger, which is great. You beat some great players there as well. Go Sader, James Duckworth, Dudi Saylor. And then you won again, like you said, in Rome after that.
Yeah, I think it was. I played in Thailand, the Challenger. I was playing really well, but the conditions were brutal. I think it was like 30, 35 degrees and really humid. So I was playing well, but then after that, I was pretty exhausted from all the tournaments and all the weeks in a row, and then I didn't play so well for 1.5 months, and then we went back on clay, and there I started to have good results again.
Yeah, you definitely did. Like that was the one. You obviously won that tournament in Rome, and then straight after that, we come to the French Open, and yeah, you managed to get through the qualifying, and then you came up against a really good a really good clay court player that on the challenger scene, which is Pedro Martinez, and you absolutely destroyed him in this first round, like 6-1, 6-love, 7-6. Was everything just going right that day?
Yeah, especially the first two sets. I don't know. I was playing well. I didn't do any mistakes, and I was playing aggressive, and they just went really fast for me. And then he, of course, improved his game for the third set, and then it was tough third set. But the first two sets, I didn't do anything wrong.
Definitely not. Well. It was, like we say, too little, too late, I think, for just coming in the third set. But then you go up against, world number one in the next round. What was that like? Novak Djokovic.
Well, like after 18 minutes, the first set was already 0-5, so it wasn't the best start. But everyone knows that you don't get 1 point free from him, so it's not easy to go on a big court like that. So I just remember after a few minutes it was already 5-0 on the scoreboard, and then you just try to do your thing and try to do the next set better.
I think you're being a bit harsh on yourself. I thought you played quite well, to be honest. I think it's tricky against Novak Djokovic to be able to beat him, as per se, but especially second and third set, I thought you performed quite well, and you was hitting quite a few winners, and it was quite an even affair. But it's always Djokovic; he's always a tricky player to be playing against. From your perspective, like, what would you find like his biggest asset is?
Well, especially his return, and also I remember on the first set, especially in the first set, I thought I hit the winner already, but then he hits backhand down the line, winner behind the back. So that surprised me a few times. And on the second and third set, I think I started to serve a bit better, and then I of course had to play more aggressive, even more aggressive on my forehand, and that helped me to just trying to do if I have even a slight chance to go for it.
Yeah, I mean his game on clay is like much improved in recent years. As like I think where everyone's seen. I thought something in that match which was probably quite evident. He's just really able to hit through the ball so well on clay now, and hit like quite a lot of clean winners, which didn't used to be in Djokovic's game on clay. But do you see anybody challenging? Like obviously Rafa is the king of clay. This is his tournament. Do you see anybody sort of taking this crown from him in the next year or two?
I don't know, but I think Thiem, he's of course dangerous, and he has been improving now as well on Grand Slams, and I don't know if he has been twice already in the final.
Yep.
French Open, so he's for sure a dangerous opponent for him.
Do you have any experiences with Thiem? Have you played against him before?
I think I played once in a challenger in Italy, but that's, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. So
okay.
Don't remember much more about that.
No, it'd be interesting to see. I'd like to see you guys play each other next year, maybe. That would be a good match, I feel.
Well, hopefully. It means that I had to play well in one tournament at least. So I hope so.
Definitely. Yeah, so should we touch on like the other Grand Slam that you obviously did well in as well? In the US Open, you just went straight into the main draw. Is this right on this one?
Yeah, last year I was probably one of the last ones in the main draw. And I played a long match against Khachenov then.
Yeah, I watched it live, this match. I remember it being on, and I was watching it, and I was just thinking, how long is this match going to go? It was 4 hours, wasn't it? In the end, I was like, wow, 7-6 in the final set as well. But what a match, though. What were you thinking during this match, though? Like, because obviously you went 2 sets up. You went 2 sets up in this match, 2 tie breaks, and then he pegged you back. What were you thinking going into that 5th set?
Well, I mean, I won those first 2 sets in tie breaks, I think both, and I wasn't playing bad, but then he could improve his game on the 3rd and 4th set, and he was also leading the 5th set with a break, and I don't know if it was 1-3 or 2-4 down. I was in the 5th set, and the game wasn't going for me, so I had to do something. So I started to play more aggressive on return games as well, took more risk on the return, and then I hit a couple good returns. I broke him, and then we were holding our serves until the tie break, and I think I played very good tie break in the 5th set. Yeah,
it seemed like tie breaks were your thing in that whole match. Like you got 3 tie breaks, three wins there. So
seems like usually they are not my case, but that day they worked.
He's the new John Isner.
I've seen that. Like I've seen you winning like quite a few tie breaks though, and like when you played Medvedev and Khachenov, you won a tie break against both of them as well.
Yeah.
Do you approach a tie break differently to another set, to a normal set? Do you have like mentally? Do you do anything differently, or you just focus point on point?
No, I try to focus point on point. But I think usually I don't go for the tie breaks even. I don't remember that I have so many tie break sets usually, but I try to go point by point.
That's good. If after like a match like that, obviously it was 4 hours long, 5 sets, must be pretty tiring. And then you came up against in the next round Denis Shapovalov, who was probably in one of his like hot streak of form with that crazy backhand that he has. What was it like playing against him? Like, how good is that backhand? Like to be on the receiving end?
Well, I especially remember he was serving well that day, and he went for the shots, so the ball was coming quick, and myself, I was serving maybe 170 or 180, so I didn't get any free points on my serve, so it wasn't an easy day, but also against him, you cannot give any easy balls, otherwise he goes for it, and you try to have to be aggressive directly when you can on the point.
Yeah, for sure. Do you feel like the 5-set match before, or like do you still feel tired from that when you're playing, or is that completely gone when you're on the court? You're just literally in the moment?
No, I still had some muscle pain from the first match, of course, and I'm tired, but I think it's for every player. They feel always something. There is not a day you don't have pain somewhere. So, and usually when you start a match or start to play or get warm, then also the problems usually get better. So,
yeah, for sure. I mean, you had you had a couple of good ATP events that I've seen in your career as well, which was last year as well. You got to the quarterfinals in Houston. You actually, took out a rising young star in America, Tommy Paul, who's a really good player. And then you came up against Garin in the quarterfinals, but unfortunately lost to him. Do you feel like in the US, this is like you prefer playing over there? You seem to have like quite a lot of good results over in the US.
Yeah, I remember especially I think the first year when I went there in October, November to play the Challengers. and that was the first challenger I won there. I played first semis, then I lost early, and then I won the challenger, and then I still won one future after. And actually, there it started. I was playing well. I had some results as well in challengers, and then gave me confidence. And then I went there back the next year for the same tournaments, and I did the same results. I think I had semi-final, then win, and semi-final still in 4 challengers. So I always enjoy to play there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it shows on your record. And I've noticed that, you had a few good... Well, I saw one good tournament that was over in... Was it in China as well? Is Chengdu? Is that China, I believe? Yeah, I think you got to the final there, but you retired in the final when you were set up against...
Chang, I think.
I think it was Chang. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the challenger, but I remember it was... I don't know, it was maybe 35, 40 degrees every day there, and it was just brutal.
That's what I was going to say to you, because of the temperature in China and how grueling the match is going to be over there. I noticed in this tournament, every match you went to 3 sets, and all of them you had over 2 hours, nearly 3 hours, and another 2 hour matches leading up to this final. Is this what caused you to retire in the final? Was there an injury there, or caused by all this match play?
Yeah, actually, the conditions were really fast, so all the match went to 3 sets and really long matches. And I remember in the semi-final, I think they said on the stadium where we played, it was 53 degrees on the stadium. Like you had those walls there, and it heated really nicely. So of course I was exhausted, but I also got the injury on the first set of the final, so I just couldn't go on anymore.
Yeah, it's funny enough. We had Danilo Petrovic on the podcast last week, and he was saying how playing in China is the toughest place to play because the humidity, the environment, everything's so tricky to be playing. Yeah. Do you agree with that? Do you find it really tough? And what would you do anything differently in your shots? You try and shorten the points when you're playing in these environments?
Yeah, I remember I also played Shenzhen ATP tournament there once, semi-final, and then the Chengdu final, and there is not much you can do. Just trying to keep it short, but also ice towels, they give you a good feeling for the first or 2 points after the change over, and then you just try to look for the shadow. There is not much to do, so it's a bit like you're playing in a movie which is going slow. Like you cannot just take all the power out of your legs, or you cannot go left, right, full power. Otherwise, you kill yourself after 5 minutes. You just have to try to save also some energy, but it's not easy there after a long point to recover for the next one.
Yeah, makes sense. And just moving on to your heritage, really. I noticed, was you born in Finland and then you moved to Switzerland? Is that correct?
Yeah, I grew up in Finland, and then I lived like 7 years in Switzerland, and now I have been traveling so much, like I don't know, 35 to 45 weeks a year, so I don't really have a base.
Yeah, it makes sense. Tennis players are everywhere, so... Yeah. But what I was going to ask is, obviously, it'd be rude not to mention Roger Federer, of course. Is he someone you've always looked up to, getting into tennis? Like, you look up to him as like your idol, like an inspiration for you?
No, actually, I was always following the most Marat Safin. I think... every time he played, it was so entertaining. You never knew what's going to happen on the court. Of course, I have followed a lot of Roger's matches, and also from Novak, those players.
Nice. And just talking about Finland as well, there's another young player who, on the podcast, we talk about a lot. I'm sure you're probably familiar with him as well. It's Rusevori. He's a young player. He's coming through the scenes, and we feel like he has a lot of scope to improve his game and become a top 100. He's almost there now, but just really sort of grow and sort of come to the next level in the ATP tournaments. Have you seen much of him, or what's your views on him?
Yeah, actually, I played against him once or twice last year, and I think he's a very solid player. He improved a lot his serve now, let's say the last 6 months. So that has been more dangerous, and on the baseline forehand backhand, he can also accelerate the ball, and is not doing easy mistakes. So it's not easy to play against him. And actually, now the time I was practicing here in Finland, I've been playing a lot and practicing with him, practice sets and different practices. So we played like, let's say 2-3 times a week. I think it has been a great thing for both of us.
Yeah, it's good. I'm sure the rallies are very long, with you two both hitting at each other. But I guess it's good practice, and it's definitely good for him to be playing against someone a bit older, a bit more experienced on tour, who's played against all these big guys, and hopefully he can feed off that, and we'll see what the future has for him, really. But a question I was going to ask, really, just a sort of a general question we've been asking a lot of players, really, is for you, do you have one of your toughest opponents you played against? And the next question is, do you have a favourite player you enjoy watching?
Well, I mean, Safin doesn't play anymore, but I enjoy to watch him because the rackets flew and whatever happened on the court. And I think for sure toughest opponent is Djokovic, because you just have to earn every single point, and you have to hit 2-3 times the winner before you get 1 point. So I find those opponents most difficult.
And who would you say that your favourite player to watch on tour at the moment?
That's a good question. I don't know. I just generally watch all the matches, and I cannot choose one favorite.
Just a general fan of tennis. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
If there's tennis on, we watch it. Yeah,
for sure.
Back in 2018, I just spotted that I didn't bring up that there was a couple of players that you beat in Sweden on the clay, which can't have this interview without bringing it up. You beat Matteo Berrettini 6-2, 6-2. What an amazing result that is. I mean, he's obviously top 10 right now. And how was he on court? Like, I mean, he's obviously such a big character in the sport. You've managed to dismantle him there pretty quickly. Like, what was the key to getting that done on that day?
Yeah, actually, I have played Båstad quite many times already, and it's always there. It's windy and it's a little cold. Conditions are not too fast, and also the year before I played well there. I think I did quarters, and then the year I beat Berrettini, I played semis there, and I have been always feeling comfortable there. They used to have Challenger the week before ATP, and then I would spend like 3 weeks there to get used to the conditions. And for me, or what I think, it's always tricky with wind, and that it's cold. So I remember I was playing really well that time.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. I guess we'll wrap it up there then. We've had a good podcast. Thank you so much, Henri, for coming on. It's been a pleasure listening to some of your stories and all your experience. We'll let you get on with your evening. Thanks for giving your time.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot to you.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you back on court again.
Yeah, I hope so. The tournaments go again soon.
All right then, man.
All right.
You take care.
You.
See you soon.
See you. Bye.